Hey, Vikings fans, it is that time. Yes, it is that time for the big one.
That's what she said.
Minnesota Vikings draft needs offensive line. Let's look at that group. What made last year's group so bad? See who we had last year. See who we lost in free agency and who we gained as well. So let's look at our starters of last year, left to right. Starting out, Riley Reef, left tackle. Left guard, Tom Compton. Center, Pat Elflein. Right guard, Mike Remmers. And right tackle, rookie last year, Brian O'Neill. In the offseason, we had lost starting right guard, Mike Remmers. I think most people would say addition by subtraction. We lost starting left guard, Tom Compton. I think most people would say addition by subtraction. And also, extremely surprising, we lost our presumed starting guard, Nick Easton, to the Saints as well. So 3 guards lost in free agency. So an absolute dagger there. We lost 3 guards, but we did gain one. We brought in Klein, and he's supposed to be average, so he will be starting. We gave him starting money, but he's definitely not great. I think he's more of a fill gap type of guy. So our guards definitely open for competition. Left guard's wide open. Right guard, I think we would love a guy that could go in and play, maybe not right away, but is a very good option for the following year. And then left tackle, Reef took a big side step down last year. He was very solid the year before, so he's a question mark as well, but he will be starting. There's been some rumors that the Vikings are maybe bringing Reef into left guard. So a guard tackle hybrid seems to be the way to go, and that will be where the Vikings will be looking. So this is obviously a 10 out of 10 need for the Vikings. And I think it's such a big need. I think a lot of Vikings fans, and me included, would not be upset if the Vikings double dip for offensive linemen. No, not 1 second rounder, 1 6th rounder. I'm talking one day 1 and another one day 2. And I think that would be a good way to go. If one of them doesn't work out, the other one should. And if they both work out, you have one maybe start at left guard this year, and then the next guard we could cut Reef, move him to left tackle, and slide another one into left guard. So that'd be a great way to do things. But we need at least one. So let's look at some of the offensive linemen in the draft, and let's start it off. And since I've been doing 5 options, but since we're doing interior and offensive and exterior offensive linemen all in one video, I was just going to do all 10. So, starting from the top, I have number 1, Jonah Williams. And he'll be a projected top 20 pick. I see him going lower than the Vikings, more of a top 15 guy. But a guy slide the Vikings could trade up for him. Williams is the one offensive lineman worth trading up for. He's a tackle / guard. He can play either one. And he's the best footwork and safest pick for offensive linemen in the draft. Since a great value pick, he might not have the highest ceiling of all the offensive linemen, but he's a day 1 starter. And when the Vikings are in a win now scenario, yeah, we didn't make the playoffs last year, but I think we're still an elite team. Getting a guy that can make the team instantly better, be a starter that quickly, you can't dismiss how great Williams would be for the offensive line. Number 2, Cody Ford. He'll be a first-round pick, and he has experience at tackle and guard. And he's a 6'4", 330-pound monster. He's a brawler. He just moves bodies. Really a Phil Loadholt type of a player. He's a fantastic run blocker. A little bit iffy at times in his pass protection, but I think he's better, as you can see on tape, than what maybe the scouts say. But definitely could use some work on it. But he might not be the best fit for the Vikings. It's only a big question mark I have. Is he a good fit to go outside and be kind of what the Vikings have on the offensive line right now? A little bit of the smaller guys that can move well in space, like Pat Elflein, Riley Reef, O'Neal. All of our core players are like that. This would be an intriguing, different piece, so we could have more of a ISO up the middle runs and not always having to do outside zone to have success. So that'd be a good option for Cody Ford. Moving on, we have Chris Lindstrom. He is another first to second round type of a fringe, back to the first round type of a offensive lineman, and he can play guard or center. And unlike Ford, Lindstrom is extremely athletic, not a lot of pop, so a great team fit, and I think he's Pat Elflein-like. And since Elflein struggled last year, if the Vikings think he might move to guard, or they may want to move away from him in a couple of years, he could slide in and play center, but he'd be an instant guard starter, and he would have that athletic build for the Vikings outside zone. Would be a great fit, and I think he'd be the easiest one to adjust to what the Vikings are trying to do right now. Moving on. A lot of Vikings fans are extremely high on Dalton Reiser, another fringe first-round guy. A lot of talk going into his pro day just kind of moved him up the boards. I know he started out as kind of a second-round pick and slowly crept his way into the back of the first round, so it'll be interesting where he goes on draft day. But what everybody likes about him, he can play anywhere on the offensive line. So whether or not the Vikings want him at tackle, guard, or even center, he can play anywhere. So worst case scenario, he's just a fill-in and everywhere backup. So I think this is one of those guys, if the Vikings want to double dip, he would be a fantastic candidate for a second offensive lineman. And he has a mean streak. He finishes players to the ground. Exactly what the Vikings want. Get that little bit of a mean streak to kind of go over the whole offensive line. It can be contagious. But he's not super athletic, so another question mark on how well of a fit he would be. But I think he could slide in and play fairly well. Another option is Garrett Bradbury, another fringe first-round talent. Great athlete. Enough strength to play guard, though. Another Pat Elflein-esque center guard hybrid guy. And a question mark with Elflein moving to guard. Could he handle more 1v1s on defensive tackles that could outpower him? So that'd be the question mark there, but he's a great athlete. Again, great in that outside zone scheme and would fit very well. More of a powerful interior lineman, Eric McCoy. He probably will slide into day 2. And if the Vikings would pick him up in the third round, that'd be fantastic. He is extremely powerful and strong, and a little bit more like Cody Ford. Is he quick enough in the Vikings scheme? I think he could, and I do like having that interior power because the Vikings need some push in the middle of their line. Another option, Connor McGovern, another day 2 player, guard/center, and he is a mean streak, not super athletic. But his comparison, Roger Saffold. Yeah, we couldn't sign him in free agency, so let's draft a guy that's kind of like him. So that'd be cool there. But again, another guy that could use some time to develop a little bit. I'm not sure if he's an instant starter, but with the Vikings offensive line, if you're a fringe instant starter rookie, I think you're starting for the Vikings. Another option, kind of controversial among scouts, and that is Greg Little. He can go anywhere from the first round to late day 2 in the third round. Maybe he could even slide it all the way to the fourth round. And he's a prototypical left tackle, not a body mover. He's inconsistent, and some scouts say has some character concerns, maybe not wanting to go all in all the time, but he has all the components to be a great left tackle. He has the size, has the strength, and the NFL gave him a comparison to Dwayne Brown. So I don't think he's a day 1 guy. I think he has to work on some things, or at the very least would have to prove some things. But hey, that's very similar to what the people said about Brian O'Neal. So that's why I wouldn't mind if the Vikings wanted to take a flyer on one of these guys. But we still have a couple more options. And moving on, we have Caleb McGarry. He's another day 2 guy, although I saw a mock draft where he recently went to the Vikings at 18, so he could sneak his way to the first round. And he was a right tackle in college, a very strong finisher, poor fundamentals in pass pro though. So it would give the Vikings a powerful right tackle. Could the Vikings move him into guard, maybe, and maybe left tackle, but it'd be interesting to see. I think the Vikings want to lock O'Neal in at right tackle, so this would be an interesting decision here. How about my last option, Max Sharping, another day 2 player. He can play tackle or guard, left or right. So very versatile. He's very smart and strong, but needs to work on his fundamentals. So I don't think he's a starter day 1, but I think he'd be a great candidate if the Vikings want to double dip. That could take a year to learn from one of the veterans, Riley Reef, and learn what it takes to be a hopefully guard and help the Vikings into the future. But these were 10 options for the Vikings offensive line. Give me your favorite in the comment section down below, and tell me in the icon top right of the video, do you guys think the Vikings should double dip for offensive linemen in the first 2 days of the draft? This was JRC, and this was my offensive half of the Vikings draft needs. Defense coming up very shortly. We'll be looking at the defensive tackles. See you guys then.